All right. Well, thank you all for being here. My name is Sheena Gibson, and I am a product owner and instructional specialist with Peerceptiv. I'm joined by Kira Dickey, our market development manager, who will be here to also help manage chat. Um, so today we're talking about group work and how to make it smoother, more efficient, and group formation and team member evaluation are the specific tools we're going to be talking about today. So we'll do a brief overview of Peerceptiv, about 10 minutes here in the slides. We'll explore common challenges of group work and how to overcome them, examine strategies for forming and managing groups, discuss a process for group member evaluation, and then we'll get into the tool itself. And I'm going to demo a couple features in Peerceptiv, so specifically the group formation tool and our team member evaluation tool. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll also have probably a few minutes at the end for Q&A. So Peerceptiv was developed at the University of Pittsburgh's Learning Research and Development Center about 15 years ago now. It was originally founded in order to provide peer assessment. So it is an online peer assessment system that is unique because it produces grades that consistently align with expert assessment. And this process can also be used for group peer assessment. So we're going to touch on this briefly today, but it's not really the focus of the webinar. Um, since developing our peer assessment system, we've now expanded to offer group facilitation tools that are used by many universities across the world to help make group work easier to manage. But the goal in all of this is to improve learning outcomes. Our basis is in research, and we continue to keep that as the mission of our organization is to improve learning outcomes for students. So why does group work matter? You wouldn't be here today if you didn't think group work mattered to some degree. It improves communication and collaboration skills for students, which helps build career readiness and preparation for career success. Everyone's going to have to work as part of a team and work with others at some point in their career. And so group work is really important to help students learn those skills. It also provides students with a greater sense of belonging, especially in our big courses that are happening now at some of our larger universities. And that helps increase student motivation and engagement. And then lastly, our research in particular has found that giving and receiving peer feedback improves learning outcomes for students. So we know there's a lot of benefits to group work, but there's also a lot of barriers to success. On the student side, there's often the impression that students are working unequal amounts, so there's a lack of accountability among students. You hear it's not fair we get the same grade if we didn't do the same amount of work. And there could be unfair or unbalanced groups that are missing in skill diversity, so some groups are more successful than others. On the instructor side, it can often be difficult and time-consuming to create and then manage these groups, especially in large classes, and then difficult to assign the grades. So we're going to talk today about how Peerceptiv provides some solutions for all of these problems. Specifically with group formation, when students have input, and know that the groups are intentionally formed, they complain less. It's helpful to make sure that students with similar schedules and work style preferences are grouped together. So students who, like to get up in the mornings and get all their work done right away are grouped together, and then students who maybe work in the evenings or are more relaxed and get their work done later are also grouped together. And there's no need for spreadsheets and back and forth emails when you're using Peerceptiv. So the group formation algorithm will just do all of this for you. And then with our team member evaluation tool, it's really designed to help teach students the expectations for quality collaboration and hold them accountable through group member feedback and also grades that can be sent directly back to the LMS. So let's get into the specifics now. The group formation assignment is where you can create a student survey with a customizable set of questions and criteria, and the group formation algorithm will use the student responses to form optimized student groups. So here's an example of a schedule prompt, and also a topic ranking prompt. We're going to get into the tool itself. But basically, we're gathering information from students and then we are doing the work for you to put students together in groups that make sense. So the survey questions can form groups based on student schedules, preferences, skills, experience level, and diversity. You can create your own multiple choice and ranking questions, and then you can decide if you want students to be grouped by similar or dissimilar responses to these questions. So obviously we want students to be grouped by similar schedules or similar work style preferences. But you might have groups where you want everyone to be in a dissimilar major, or you want students to all have a certain level of diversity. You can set the weight or priority of certain questions. So, for instance, if topic ranking is the most important question for you and you want students to all be grouped on the same topic interest, then you can set that as higher weight than the other questions. New for this fall, you can now allow optional student participation. So you can say that students can choose to form their own groups in Peerceptiv or take the group formation survey. And then the algorithm would only group people together based on who all took the survey. So that's a nice way to do it. If you have students, some of them they know who they want to work with and you want to allow that, but others maybe don't know anyone and want to be grouped by the algorithm. And then lastly, once the groups are formed, we have a group passback feature where you can send the newly formed groups from Peerceptiv straight back to your LMS. You just click a button and they populate in your LMS, so it's really nice and easy. So once you've formed the groups, now you're thinking, okay, students are going to do their group projects, and then how are you going to grade all these group projects? Peerceptiv does have peer assessment tools that can help grade all the projects for you. So each group would upload their submission, and then individuals in the group would review other group projects using a rubric. The grades that are generated are based on the quality of the work that students submit and also the individuals reviewing accuracy and helpfulness. So it's the quality of the submission as well as the quality of the reviews. And then we also have a group live presentation assignment type where groups can present to the class and reviewers can select the group by name to review them in real time. It's a nice way to keep everyone in the class engaged and participating during the presentation. Okay, so you've formed the groups, they're working in their projects. Now, how are we going to hold students accountable for actually participating and collaborating effectively? That's where our team member evaluation tool comes in. Students can evaluate their group members on the quality of participation in group activities using a rubric. So there's a variety of criteria. And then we also have points allocation. This is where students can distribute a set number of 100 points among their group members or peers according to their perceived contribution. So someone who participated a lot would get more points, and someone who didn't do as much would get less points. And it's kind of a nice way for the instructor to just get a quick check-in to see who's doing more than others in the groups. So team member evaluation encourages individual accountability. It gives students a grade based on their peer ratings, and you can also adjust the project grades based on the peer evaluations. The rubric method allows you to gain insight into specific criteria in terms of how the students are collaborating, and the points allocation method allows you to just assess overall contribution. You can allow for anonymous evaluation to encourage honest feedback, and you can even choose to hide the comments entirely and have them only visible to the instructors if you want to do it that way. We recommend scheduling either mid-project or midterm evaluations to gather early and ongoing insights into the groups, as well as a final evaluation. And you can also choose to incorporate a reflection phase where students would need to reflect on the comments their peers gave them to help promote self-awareness and growth. So in terms of the results that students see, you could either have it set up kind of like a 360-degree style review where they see all of the comments and they can see their self-evaluation as well. Or you can hide it entirely so that only the instructional team can see that information. Okay, so we've gone over the various assignment types that Peerceptiv offers. I'm now going to jump into the tool and show you what this actually looks like in the tool. But we do have a lot of resources for you. You're welcome to book a demo if you want to learn more about Peerceptiv. And we also have a variety of payment options. We have student purchase, including through the bookstore. We have campus or department purchase, instructor purchase if you want. And we also have the potential for pilot pricing as well. So please feel free to reach out to our team for more information on that. We have a knowledge base with help articles and videos for instructors and students. We offer one-on-one support for setup, and we also provide email support for instructors and students. All right, so at this point, I am going to jump over to the tool. Was there anything in particular that came in the chat that we should talk about before I get into the demo here?
No, I think all the questions in the chat will be answered when we get into the demo.
Perfect. Okay. So right now I am in Peerceptiv. I am acting as a student. If you have Peerceptiv connected to an LMS, they're going to click the link in the LMS. They'll launch directly to Peerceptiv. They won't need a password and they won't need to log in. It's single sign-on from the LMS. And when they get here, there's always this next task button telling them what they can do next. There's also options down here that they can click, but if they just click the next task button, it'll tell them, okay, you're not yet in a group. You can either take the group formation survey or you can opt out of the survey by creating your own group or joining a group via looking up a student or looking up a group name. These options are only available if you've chosen to allow students to opt out of the survey. You don't have to allow that. You could require that everyone take the survey. Um, so I can take the survey. I'll show you what that looks like. You're going to check the boxes that align with when you'd be able to meet with the group. You'll notice that these timeframes are really pretty large. This is not The intention of this is not to kind of decide when exactly this group is going to meet. It's not going to be like Friday morning at 10 a.m. The intention of this is just to get people together who are typically available on Thursday evenings or typically available on Friday mornings. And then it will group them together and they can decide the exact time that they're going to meet. All right, next we have a ranked choice question. You can build out one of these specifically if you want students to rank topics they want to be a part of. They can go through and rank the topics. And then we have some multiple choice questions. These are some questions that are about work preferences. We specifically have found that it's nice when you group the proactive students together, or the relaxed students together. They tend to get on each other's nerves less in that way. And then we have, what's the category of your major? And this might be so that we get different majors all working together. And then they'll click submit. So at this point, the survey is complete. If they want to, they can go back and edit the survey at any time before the deadline just by clicking this button. At the deadline, the survey will close and the students, and the groups will be generated. You can take a look at the groups before the students do to make sure that they look right. You can then make manual adjustments if you want to, and then you can release them to students. So I'll show you what that looks like from the part of the instructor. I'll go to an assignment that has results. So you'll see here the results have been held for release, meaning as the instructor, I'm going to look at the results first. I can go to the groups tab, see who's in the groups. I can move students around if I need to. And I can make all the changes I want to before I release them to students. When it's time to release them all to students, I can click release results. and then the students will see them. I can also then send the groups back to the LMS and they'll populate in the LMS. Um, I can dig in to get further information. I can see who in my group completed the survey or who in my class. I can click on any particular student's name to see their specific responses. If I go to the results tab, we have an export results button that is going to give you all of the data in an Excel spreadsheet. So if that's easier for you to look at everything in an Excel spreadsheet, you can do that. You can also select particular groups and view their results. So this particular group, this is when they're available to meet. This is how they responded to the ranked choice question and the multiple choice questions. And so I can see all of that information and really dig into the data. And that can help me if I want to rearrange students as well. There is a grade generated for this type of assignment. It's simply a participation grade. So if a student completes the survey, they'd get 100%. That way, if you want to, you can put some kind of point value on this assignment, say it's 2 points just for completing the survey. Peerceptiv will send the grade back to the LMS and it'll convert to whatever point total you have in your LMS. So you can also have some kind of grade associated with this assignment if you would like. Any questions at this point that should be answered as a whole group?
Yes, we did get a question in the chat. Can you request everyone complete the survey, but still allow them to express preferences for working with specific peers?
Can you say that again, Kira? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe the question is if they're requesting a specific peers, can they still complete the survey? The question
Oh,
is, can you request everyone completes the survey, but still allow them to express preferences for working with specific peers?
yeah, great question. No, at this point, they either complete the survey or they opt out entirely. If they opt out, they have to actually form a group in Peerceptiv. So they either have to form their own group with their peers or they have to invite peers and or join a group that was already created. So they essentially form their own group outside of the algorithm. Um, it's either one or the other. If they complete the survey, that means they're basically entering their data in to be grouped by the algorithm.
Thank you, Sheena.
Yeah, good question. All right, any other questions on group formation at this point? Because I'm going to transition to team member evaluation. Okay. So I'm heading out to a different course and we're going to look at team member evaluation. This is how you can then hold students accountable for participating in their groups. This particular one has a rubric, and Peerceptiv does provide a default rubric for you, but you're able to edit it, you're able to delete it. You do not have to use this rubric. Yes, Kira. You're muted.
Before we move on to team member evaluation, we did get one more question. I just want to make sure we address it. Can
Sure.
you manually overcome the algorithm and assign students to teams?
Yes, you definitely can. So even after the algorithm puts everyone in teams, you can move students around as needed. You can create your own teams. You can also delete all the groups and rerun the algorithm if you want to see if you get a different result. But yes, you can definitely manually move students around. Great. Okay. So the team member evaluation rubric is editable. We provide, some prompts on professionalism, communication, content knowledge and skills, work ethic, overall contribution, and overall feedback. But you can alter this as needed. In terms of this assignment, you can import the groups from past assignments. You could bring the groups right over from your group formation assignment, but you could also import them from the LMS if you need to. Um, this syncs back and forth between the LMS, so if needed, you can do that. All right, I'm now going to show you what this looks like from the part of a student. So I'll act as a student here. And they're going to go through, they'll see their group members, they'll click start, and then they just go through the evaluation process for each of their group members. So pretty simple and straightforward. Um, you will notice that I'm seeing the score pop up on the side here. That will be important when I do the next person because it provides a nice comparison between between students. So as the student, I'm now going to evaluate my next group member, and maybe this member was actually a little bit more professional. So I can see this score comparison feature here. The students themselves will never see, like the students who are being evaluated will never see this information, only the students who are doing the evaluating. But we kind of do this in order to encourage students to not just give all their group members the same score. All right, so you get an idea of what this looks like from the part of the student. I'm just going to finish this one up, and then I'm going to show you what the points allocation looks like. Okay, so I'm going to just return to the dashboard here. Let me go back to my assignment list. And oh, it looks like this person already gave their points allocation. So let me hop into another person who didn't give points allocation. Does Miguel here. All right. So points allocation, they're going to see all of their group members listed, but instead of going through a rubric, they're just going to assign points based on how much each person contributed. So if Jamal contributed quite a lot, I might give him a lot of points, and I'm Miguel, so maybe I give myself some amount of points. And then I have about, 30 points left. So I'm going to decide maybe Luella really didn't participate very much. Jerlene participated a lot, and Neha really didn't show up to the group. And then I'm going to be required to provide comments for each of these students to kind of justify the point totals that I gave them. These comments are only visible to the instructional team because they're providing kind of justifications for their scoring. So these are actually automatically hidden and only visible to the instructional team. Are there any questions at this point, Kira?
Yes, we got a question about self-evaluation. I think that would be really good to clarify how self-evaluation works in Peerceptiv.
Sure. So with points allocation, well, with any self-evaluation in Peerceptiv, it is an optional choice that the instructor can make. So they can decide if they want the students to self-evaluate for peer assessment, for team member evaluation. Um, and anytime there's a self-evaluation or self-review in Peerceptiv, those points or scores do not contribute to that student's grade. So here, I can give myself points if the instructor has chosen to include me as part of it, but it doesn't contribute toward like a grade that I receive. I would just get a grade for completing the survey. Um, Same with team member evaluation. I can go through and I can evaluate myself, but the ratings that I give myself don't contribute toward my grade. And that's the same with peer assessment as well. We can always include a self-review where I have to review my own project, but that's not included as part of my grade. Any other questions? We're right now at about 3 minutes till the half hour mark, and I've gone through everything that I was planning to show today. So if there are any other last questions, now would be a great time to go over them. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your interest in Peerceptiv. Please reach out. You can email us support@peerceptiv.com. You can also book a demo, and Kira will be following up with the slides as well as the recording of today's session.
Thanks, everyone. We'll hang on for
Great.
another minute in case there's any questions.
Well, thank you all so much for being here.